Table or truth?
Let's look at the meaning of collusion. Now, I gave
We're going
you
back to the Russia collusion thing, folks, just so you know, in case we're all over the place. A friend of mine complained about that, by the way. He was listening to the podcast. He's like, you guys are all over the place.
No, it's not you guys, it's you.
Me. Okay.
It's you that keeps taking us to Africa and back.
All right, fine.
All right, so collusion. It's a noun. Secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy, especially in order to cheat or deceive others. That is the definition of collusion. I just gave you examples of where Trump campaign representatives met with Russians who happened to be, I hate to call it enemy, but I've got no other word for it.
Yeah.
A enemy state against the United States. And so how else can you look at that except this is collusion? Okay. If you meet during the campaign,
but at the beginning of this conversation, you said you don't really have a problem with collusion itself.
No, I said collusion is not illegal.
It's not illegal. Okay.
Right.
So therefore, in previous episodes, you mentioned that you look at things based on legalities.
Generally, and because I'm a black and white.
Issue.
No, it's an issue because what we had was foreign interference, which is illegal. And the Trump campaign has been proven to have conversations and cooperation with a foreign body that interfered in the United States.
Okay, did this foreign body election at that moment in time,
were convicted of interference, obstruction, lying to Congress,
okay,
the
so
FBI
to the
over
paper,
this whole thing.
If I don't know any better, and I look at everything legalistically, all right, and I say this was mostly Russia, and there was foreign interference at the time because they're Russia, and if I look at them in that moment in history at that time, they had definitely finagled with trying to invade Ukraine back in, what was it, 2014, 2016? No,
you talking about when they went to Crimea?
Crimea, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so they already were on the bad side of the United States. I get it. Okay. So then all of a sudden, they already being a bad repute, collude with the Trump administration one way or another. And you take into account the fact that most people in Washington don't like a guy like Trump because he's brash. It's very popular to hate successful white billionaire men in this moment in time, unless, of course, you were behind the scenes and then nobody knows you exist. Is that
the reason the right keeps bringing up Soros?
Well, he's see that's a good. I like that touche comeback right there. It's a good little throw on the ropes there for
and I don't know whether that was a Freudian slip on saying white instead of right.
No, I meant white because like when I talk to people about why don't you like Trump? Like most of them, the intellectually profound extremists that I talk to. I mean, again, not everybody thinks like this.
Well, actually, ask me that question.
The first thing they say, all right, why do you not like Trump? As an educated man who happens to be of darker pigment, why don't you like Trump? Now, I'll compare you with some of the conversations. I wish I could have recorded these so you could hear with your own ears. But I will quote,
right. But actually, I prefer to say my reasonings before you say what your research has.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you like Trump? Yeah.
Because being from Boston, we are close with New York and we understand how New York runs.
Yep.
This is prior to him running for president.
Yep. Okay.
That his failed businesses. I was familiar with one of them, which was Trump Airlines, which he made promises to the union in order to get their cooperation, and then basically sold them out, and it failed. The failing businesses, the Taj Mahal, for instance. Again, at the time,
you did not invest in Trump Airlines, did you?
No.
You didn't have any stocks in the WBF, the World Bodybuilding Federation.
No.
Vince McMahon. Good. Ica Pro products.
No.
Okay, so there's no personal vendetta here.
No.
Okay.
It's just again through readings and stories of him not paying contractors and the failed businesses. I will say that I never watched a single episode of The Apprentice.
I didn't either, to be fair. I was not interested.
But it appears that a lot of people around the nation, outside of us, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, who knew Trump for decades,
he was a cool guy
growing up.
He was...
that he was a great businessman because of The Apprentice, or they, read The Art of the Deal, and his story spreading out that he took $1 million loan from his father and created billions of dollars.
That's what happened to Vince McMahon. Maybe that's why they're buddies.
Well, no, but that's not what happened. His father gave him $400+ million, in which he had practically blown. And it was The Apprentice, nearly $500 million over 10 years he made out of The Apprentice that saved his butt.
But he was a billionaire back in the 80s or 90s, right?
No,
early 90s.
No, that's what his claim was.
But he wasn't really a billionaire, even though he had an airline and gold, blah, blah, blah. So he was like pulling a Saddam Hussein. He had a gold palace, but it wasn't really a gold palace. It was just like cheap drywall with gold plates or something, that kind of thing.
Saddam Hussein had basically a gold palace.
No, because didn't soldiers, going off topic here, loot the palace, and then they discovered that it wasn't really a gold palace. There was just
our soldiers looted the palace.
Somebody, God, then I'll have to look that one up. But yeah, there were individuals that they didn't loot it like Roman, AD.
That's what you just said. You said,
well, they went in there.
You implied that U.S. soldiers looted.
No, that's why I said it as a question. Didn't they? I don't know.
Now you're Tucker Carlson.
I'm not Tucker Carlson.
Yes, you are. You just,
if I was Tucker Carlson, I'd be on...
did the Biden crime family
really
take bribes? I'm just asking the question. That's Tucker Carlson.
That's Tucker
That's
Carlson.
What you just did.
So you...
Did the soldiers loot? You asked the question, and those who are not critically minded says, yeah, that could be right. And if you say it enough times, yes.
Well, I mean, let's get to the bottom. That's a fair question. Let's answer the question. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, but in this case, so soldiers did not loot the palace.
See,
fine.
Here you go again. Audience, it's him. He's always going off topic, going somewhere down some alley.
Well, trying to keep a little bit of flair for the conversation.
No, but that was one of the critiques about this show, is that we're all over it. We can't stay on the subject and complete the subject. Myself, I prefer us complete the subject, but
so it's more academic and grounded in education.
Yeah, because don't ask me how in the world we got to Saddam Hussein and U.S. soldiers looting the palace.
All I'm saying is that Donald Trump. Let's go. Okay, I'll bring it back to the fact that how it relates to Donald Trump. What Tyson here is saying is that Donald Trump is a poser, really. He's not as rich as he claimed to be, even in the early 90s. And so he had Trump Airlines, but he could barely...
Well, it wasn't just that, but him and his father got bagged by HUD for not renting apartments to black tenants.
So he was a little sketchy. Okay.
He also took out a full-page ad looking for the death penalty for the accused Central Park jogger rape.
If I may, this may be a little bit controversial here. Do you feel that Trump is a racist? I don't know if we can necessarily answer that question, but
myself, I don't like necessarily calling anyone a racist.
Yeah.
Unless basically most racists that I look at generally self-declare that they're racist.
That's fair, yeah.
So I don't know that answer.
That's fair.
That he's a racist.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No,
I mean, I think you're entitled to, and here's why, right?
No,
that's fine.
This format, you can ask me any question.
Okay, I'll give not trying to pull a Tucker Carlson on you, if you will. Okay, and the reason I wonder about that claim is because at the same time, hip hop artists in the early '90s would mention Trump in their lyrics. He obviously, had some sort of collusion with the music industry. Is that the right word?
Well, he was always looking for fame, and didn't that?
Yeah.
Because one of the things he used to do was call up, pretend he was someone else, and give reporters news story about himself.
That's kind of funny. Trump pulling a Jerky Boys. I'd actually like to listen to that. So okay, things like that. Granted, it's Mike Tyson. You're Tyson, but Mike Tyson seemed to stand behind Trump for the most part during all these ups and downs.
No, he had his glitz, and that's what he put out there.
He's like, his priorities is really business. He doesn't deny that. Tyson seems to insinuate that. So when people just say he's he's a racist, right? And I'm like, okay, evidence, like, please, like, I imagine he's a little bit of an elitist, like if we're going to go a little bit on.
Well, what would you call you have apartments not renting to black people?
Is it, forgive me for throwing this out there, but I feel like as adults we can have this conversation here.
Sure.
And just so we're clear, it's not just, it's purely black people or individuals that just happen to be of a low socioeconomic status.
Black people.
But it was split. So like there was also white people in the mix. That
white people got apartments, black people did not.
Okay, no, legit. I don't know enough about
it. And they found for the plaintiff, which was HUD.
Okay.
And him and his father had to pay a penalty.
Yeah.
For denying everyone equal.
Legit.
Rights.
That's not cool. Yeah. Okay.
Right? And again, taking out the full page ad looking for the death penalty for. Was it 6 teenage kids who, again, were browbeaten and admitted to, actually I think it was 5 out of 6 admitted to it. The 6th one did not, and he was not convicted. Again, with the police techniques at that time, to unsophisticated, and those teenagers did not have lawyers at the time. But again, Trump, full page ad, questioned the death penalty, and then, but if they are found, it wasn't not guilty, to be innocent, right?
Yeah.
One would hope that you would say, hey, I was wrong, take out double full page ads for a week saying I apologize.
Dude,
and then announcing that.
I'm not disagreeing with you, man. That's
is that not racist?
I would say just based on logic, that seems to insinuate some
And
sketchiness.
I will give you one more. The whole birther movement, which helped launch his campaign into politics with Obama not being a birth certificate. He was part of expanding this birtherism, and that's what he basically ran on in politics.
Yeah, all right.
And again,
so he's insensitive. He's manipulative.
Well, if we look at it, this is all black people.
Yeah, okay.
So the question is, I run it back to you.
All right.
Are these racist tendencies?
No, those are racist tendencies.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right.
And listen,
granted, we didn't go over how many white people he shafted, but yeah.
The honest to God truth right now, this is probably the first time, this is sad, but I'll admit it, that I, being a moderate, who's not an expert in politics, by the way, we just like to kind of shoot the shoot here, and try to learn what we can. I think you're probably one of the few, if not the first, who's made these points in a very concise manner that are very convincing. A lot of times I just hear my friend, she's, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter whether she's white or whatever, black or whatever. But let's just say some of my liberal friends who, why don't you like Trump? Because he's a racist. I'm like, okay, but how's he racist? Well, because he is.
Well, and again, that's fair.
No, that's fair.
That's fair for you to ask the question.
Yeah.
What is it? You have this opinion.
Yeah, like I'm
Explain
willing.
it.
Yeah, like
Well,
right now, I could actually tell people. Now that I'm, like, I always knew that he's an elitist, he's a classist. I still, if he was a full out like complete racist, then why are athletes and hip hop artists and entertainers necessarily like on good terms?
Look in his office. Have you seen pictures of his offices where he has all this sports memorabilia?
Yeah,
right. He's got Shaq's shoes, I think.
Right.
He's got
so he's not. Yeah.
WWE belts.
Right,
He's got a Tyson championship belt
Yeah.
and all this. He likes fame.
Yeah.
This impresses him.
Right.
Because I would not say that he's an athlete.
He's not an athlete.
But he loves...
likes,
same thing. He
Wow.
put... who did he give the Medal of Freedom to? If you look at who he gave Medal of Freedom, a lot of them are sports stars that he gave the American Freedom Medal to,
now,
including I believe Tiger Woods.
let me just
Mike Tyson,
let me play
pal around with him.
Yeah, so let me play devil's advocate a little
Mhm.
bit here, Seaton's lawyer, if you will, and say, were these tendencies that you had mentioned based on facts? And I guess we have to do the research. But I believe it.
No,
Yeah, I
they're
believe
facts.
it. No, I'm not doubting. I'm saying, like, if everybody listening, is to do like their due diligence, right? Because we're just two knuckleheads, like, just having a conversation here. And we discovered that about Trump in the early '90s, mid '90s, or whatever. Is the Trump then the same man as he is now? Does he show that same magnitude of tendencies that are very controversial like now, especially presence, during his time as presidency? For us to deduct that he's the same man he was 20-something, 30 years ago.
Well, him being 78,
yeah.
I don't know a whole lot of 70-year-olds who change a lot in 20 years. Now, the circumstances where he is have changed because, again, he ran for president. He was elected president. So circumstances have changed. It's interesting that I can still remember, I believe it was 2020, in events, he saying, there was a group called themselves Blacks for Trump. And so, he pointed out, oh, see, look, there's my black right there. So,
yes.
And so, again.
All right, listen, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I mean,
I'd say no in the last 20 years. The game is different.
Okay.
And so he has to respond accordingly.
But
has he continued to wildly exaggerate stuff to the point where exaggeration, or is it lies? For instance, during the inauguration, where he said he had the biggest inauguration in presidential history, and when you compared, and newspapers all over the country compared the outside shot of his compared with Obama, who had just a blanket of people there, it's not even close. We see right now that the civil court case brought by Letitia James in New York against his business, right? One of the key points was his apartment, or I don't even know if you call it a condo since he owns it, in which it's 10 or 11,000 square feet, but he put out there for insurance or banking purposes that it was 30,000 square feet, and we're talking about square footage in New York, which is astronomical. So he increased the value,
Okay, so
and he is a real estate developer. He's not no Joe Smo who can't tell 10,000 square feet from 30,000 square feet. And so, again, an exaggeration to where here it's a lie, which is fraud, the judge has already found him guilty of fraud on one segment, and they're going to court on the other 5 or 6 counts.
Is it fair to say that it would be a lot easier to really poo-poo trying to be sophisticated here, Trump's reputation, if there wasn't so much likewise hypocrisy that people on the left, like political pundits, people in government on the left, seem to be getting caught, as well. Like lately, especially lately, like that guy that pulled the bloody fire alarm in Congress a couple days ago.
Please educate me.
You didn't know about that?
No.
Holy cow! That's All right, let me look this one up. I remember the guy's name, but like,
hold on. You just brought up a subject.
yeah. But I listen. Like, I'm so.
The guy's name. Tell me
No,
what happened.
I need to.
I
need
want
to
you to tell me what happened.
Okay, Congress is voting to, I guess, what's the word? Like, take a breather, right? They're shutting down Congress for a couple days.
Oh, you talking about the.
And then a congressperson who happened
not shutting down the government.
Yeah, he happened. Representative Jamal Bowman, I believe. Who happened to be once a principal. That's the real funny part, right? He was caught on film pulling a fire alarm. Like the camera showed everything. There's no way to actually deny it now, except for AOC. She actually tried to kind of downplay this whole thing. But yeah, Jamal Bowen pulls fire alarm before House vote on stopgap spending bill. Okay, I guess we could look into what the stopgap spending bill is.
No,
and
we don't
else.
have to. No.
But
just pulling a fire alarm.
Fire alarm. Yes, a congressperson. Yes.
That's illegal.
Yes, that's a Democrat. I'm not saying they're all that.
But hell, I can.
But you can see how people are like.
Do you better
if this was a baseball game, right?
I can do you better than
By all
that.
means.
So we talked about Menendez from New Jersey.
Oh, good old Menendez. Yeah, okay. Back to the Menendez brothers, or Menendez himself, not the Menendez brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty shady. So when you put these things together, right, I think one can see the issue here, if we're going to be really honest.
Well
Trump might be a Twinkie.
No,
he may be a douchebag.
Let me explain the difference right now.
Okay.
All right. We have Democrats calling for Menendez to step down, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you've heard this. You just heard fresh. This is the first I'm hearing about it, and I was listening.
That's all right.
And I'm looking. Hey. Somebody needs to prosecute him.
It's a double win
for pulling. And I'm a registered Democrat.
You're an open-minded guy. That's great.
So he needs to be accounted for, whether it's a misdemeanor, whether it's whatever. That is ridiculous, and that's BS.
It's lose-lose for him.
Now, on the other side,
yeah,
we are Republican calls for having someone step down or censured for the acts that they do. So that's what I'm looking at.
I get it. There's a bias here. That's the biggest problem in life in general. There's a cognitive bias.
Well, I look at more of
so let's talk. Let's look at a local, Looney Tunes here on the Republican side. I guess that we could throw some shade on. The only person I can think of is maybe Lauren Boebert recently.
Are you talking about when she got booted out of the?
Yeah, she was vaping theater or something.
Yeah, she was vaping, taking pictures, being loud. As a matter of fact, there was a pregnant woman who was sitting behind her.
She didn't pull a fire alarm, but she was definitely acting out of line.
Stop vaping.
Not a good representation of
she said,
dignity of Congress. That's fair. I can understand that. Yeah.
And then, after all this just came out in the Denver newspapers, she denied it.
Okay, so...
And then the video came out.
Okay, fair enough. Now, if we're going to scale everything, pulling a fire alarm, being a douchebag during a theater production, the fire alarm definitely seems to outweigh the, no pun intended, trump the douchebag vaping situation. But
vaping in the theater is also illegal.
It's like checkers here. Let's throw in our favorite, or chess. Let's throw in our favorite pieces here. So you got I'm using the Lauren Boebert card.
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
You didn't hear a single Republican come out against her for what she did. Oh, hold it, and you left out the groping.
Groping. Whoa.
Oh, you didn't see the videos then?
I'm sorry, I'm not in a Lauren Boebert like that.
Her male companion was feeling her up while she was feeling him up.
That's not appropriate behavior for a congresswoman in public. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what she did.
I didn't watch the videos, dude. Luckily those proclivities are they're not my thing.
And then, of course, the final thing, which was a mention. No, just two. One was she gave the middle finger to the employees there as she was marching
Did she
out.
hide that there? What happened?
And the final one is that
Mushrooms? What's going on there?
She pulled out the "Do you know who I am" card.
Oh man, I don't like to do.
She did. She pulled the Karen out.
Oh, please.
And I heard not one Republican speak out against her for her action as a representative a
reprobate
member of the House of Representatives.
All right. So what we've learned here today is that if you're like a typical human being, you're going to choose your side, which is understandable, but you're also going to look the other way when shit hits the fan, which is generically understandable. But when you're running a government or a country or trying to, it's not good form to pull a fire alarm before a decisions being passed in Congress, or to
no, he should be censored.
Act inappropriately.
And I think he should be prosecuted.
Yeah, act inappropriately in a theater, but that's not
community service or whatnot. He can pull.
Yeah. Now, Bober, I don't think it's illegal. It's definitely inappropriate.
Yeah, it was illegal to be vaping. That's like smoking.
But not like pulling a fire.
No. It's not. It's not. It doesn't equate the same. But there are city ordinances against smoking or
throw me some
vaping.
more Republicans or conservative congresspeople or even senators or whatever that are, if we're going to weigh the old scales out here.
Oh, I had one on the whole thing, and they did at the last second. They passed a clean bill, got through the House, and so the government was not shut down. It is extended for 47 days. The only thing, I believe, was $16 million for disaster relief was included. However, the House rejected, and the
disaster relief for what? Oh, New York?
No, United States.
Oh, in general, okay.
Yeah, and however, the $6 million that were earmarked for Ukraine was taken out because it couldn't get through the House. And the House members of the House have a problem with continuing backing Ukraine.
Is that a bad thing? I mean, it's not an ideal thing. Imagine if we had so much money as a country, we could help Ukraine and other parts of the world, I suppose. But at the same time,
I'll ask you a question back to your question.
Go ahead.
Should we not support Ukraine, or should we allow Russia to take over Ukraine?
My personal opinion,
yes.
We don't have the infrastructure to really worry about dealing with Ukraine, just based on the economic hardships we're dealing as a country. In an ideal world, and I think I answered this last time, would it be nice to be able to play world police? I guess, assuming people want us to play world police, and it's not just so that the military-industrial complex and the CIA can just benefit by manufacturing crisis all over the world. But we legit could be like the Justice League of the world. Would it be nice to be able to do that, assuming people wanted our help? Yeah, it would be nice to do that. Can we afford to do it? No, I don't think we can at this moment in time. Sorry, we have to close shop for a bit. We got too much crap going on in our own country.
So let Russia take over Ukraine.
Yeah, because there's no way to prove that he would then pull a Hitler and try to invade all of Europe. I don't believe that is... I don't believe there's enough evidence to show that, because
you need evidence.
I need evidence. That's a major decision to try to start World War III. Yeah, I think there needs to be more evidence for that. I don't see how. Look, if Putin was really as insane as he is, and I'm not going to say he's the most civilized world leader out there, but they make him out to be, he's going to throw a nuke at the first chance he gets. That's what the media seems to kind of push as an idea. But it's been almost 2 years in Ukraine, and he's been playing mostly a land war there. He hasn't been shooting nukes out left and right. If he was that irrational, he would have used them, 6 months into the campaign. I'm not saying that that's not a possibility that could happen, but I don't know if he's beyond reason. I mean, the only thing, we would have had a better bargaining chip to call him completely unjustified had it not been for NATO kind of egging on the idea of insinuating missile bases along the borders of Russia, right? Especially if Ukraine became like a NATO backed country. The fact that Poland is backing out of the whole game now says a lot. Okay, that just doesn't add up. Did you read about how the missile fired from Ukraine to its own people? Did I read that right? I have to look that one up. Let's look.
No. What is it that you heard or understand before?
Well, I was talking to some blokes on the street there on Main South, and word on the street, with the gangsters was, did you hear about Ukraine? Ukraine launched a missile on Ukraine so that they could sort of manufacture a crisis of need.
Oh, God.
And I was like, say you don't, say it isn't so. But, one thing, if I may quote Christopher Walken in the movie Suicide Kings, and I don't necessarily believe this at all, but it's a great quote that makes zero sense, and it's something you're just like, I would never actually follow that advice. One thing you can count on is word on the street. Right? Let me just tell you this. Apparently, there's a sympathy card that's being pushed by Ukraine, according to the recent news. By all means, look it up as I babble. But a missile was fired, and people got hurt in Ukraine. And it turns out it wasn't really Russia that fired the missile. And you're like, that's messed up. Is that just to gain sympathy?
No.
Okay, not. So what did you find online?
No, I'm not looking at. I'm looking at something else. No. Don't look at.
I don't want to give people false fake news.
No, let me tell you what happened.
Well, so you knew this whole time.
Well, I wanted to hear what you heard.
Word on the street, bro.
So word on the street.
Word on the street.
And again, this conspiracy theory.
Yeah, all right, fine.
BS. All right, you are aware that we have anti missiles defending
missiles to the -1.
Ukraine, right? Russia launches a bunch of missiles, and we have whether they're Patriots that come out, from Raytheon or whatever, and then shoot, knocking these down so that they don't hit civilian targets.
Okay,
right. Every once in a while, one comes through, but sometimes it may miss and then come down. In Ukraine, one last year ended up either just across the border from Poland.
So a bogey.
Right. So that happens. But it was not done on purpose in order to create sympathy for Ukraine.
Okay.
So you don't have to look. I'm telling you the straight scoop.
All right, Tyson's telling us the straight scoop, so how can I go wrong?
Now, here's the other side of not supporting Ukraine.
Remember, kids, if you like our aims to bring about peace and prosperity to the human race by having this channel as a template on how to do civil discussion, get your parents' permission if you're between 4 and 13 years old, because occasionally I get carried away and end up using vernacular. I'm not proud of it, and I'm really trying to get better. But it's just that I get so frustrated sometimes. I'm only human, but yes, your parents are right, and that's no excuse. Anyway, parents, hit a like, subscribe, and feel free to share any episodes.